Hey everybody, it's Craig at Unleashed Education here, and today I'm going to be talking about why XMP or sidecar files may or may not be useful to your editing process. Thanks for tuning in to this Editing Toolbox video. In these quick videos, Charlotte or I take turns each to share our quick tips, tricks and techniques with you that we hope will help to make your editing life a little bit easier. Today I'm talking XMP files or sidecar files, what they are and why they may or may not be useful to you. So first of all, I guess, what are they? So to put it in really simple terms, an XMP file is a text file that sits on your hard drive alongside the RAW file. RAW files, when you make edits in software like Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One, anything that you're doing with editing RAW files, the changes that you make are not made to the actual file itself. So this XMP sidecar file is where the changes are stored. So it's basically a text list of metadata from the camera, settings, exposure, lenses that you use, all of those things, along with all the edits you make as well. We can have a quick look at an XMP file. So I have created one for this image here. This is the RAW file in my hard drive, and this is the XMP file that sits alongside it. Now this is what the actual file looks like. It's just strings of text. It's nothing that we can really understand, but basically that information all relates to this image and all of these changes I've made on the side here. If you use Lightroom, then you don't get an XMP file by default because Lightroom stores all of that information within the catalogue file. Okay, so that's what an XMP file is and does. So if you're using Lightroom for all of your editing and cataloging needs, why might you need an XMP file? Well, I guess the first reason is that, as I said, this is an industry standard format. So if you use any other software outside of Lightroom or Adobe, it can be really useful to have access to the edits that you have already made. The second reason, I guess, is a backup system. So if you want to back up your edits and have those files alongside your RAWs in your hard drive, this is great if you have issues with your Lightroom catalog. If you end up having a system crash, then when you re-import images or start a new Lightroom catalog, your images are going to be edited already. You're not going to have to go back to the RAWs and start to edit every single image in your catalog from scratch. Using the XMP file is also really good if you have multiple catalogs or if you use multiple devices to edit your images on. So for example, I do a lot of traveling and I have my main computer, which I'm sitting at right now, alongside my MacBook Pro. So XMP files might be really handy for me to import the images that I've been shooting while I've been traveling from my MacBook into my Lightroom master catalog without me having to either redo all of the edits or merge the catalogs together. And I think another big reason as well is that if you are using a retoucher or sending your images off to an editor to edit for you after your sessions and you're not doing all of your edits yourself, then having these images with their XMP files, if you've already done some basic adjustments, then they're really helpful for your retouchers to have those so that they don't have to go from scratch when they're editing as well. And then all you need to do is send them the RAWs with the sidecar and away they go. So I hope that hasn't been too much waffle, but those are the reasons I think are good reasons to have this as a system to use and to have these XMP files created. What I'll do now is I'll show you how to actually create them. So there's a couple of things you can do. If you haven't been doing this already and Lightroom isn't creating this file for you, you will need to create manually the XMP files for the images that you want them for. That's really easy. You just have to right click on the image, you go metadata, save metadata to file. Now if you've never done it before, you will get this warning that comes up and it just tells you that the proprietary RAW files, the metadata will be saved to the sidecar. But if this is your edit that you've already done that's in a JPEG, TIFF, PNG, PSD or DNG file, the metadata will actually be written into the original file. So just a reminder there really that XMP files are for RAW files, not for other file types. So we just hit continue there, and that has now created a file on your hard drive. So if I right click on this now and I go show in Finder, there's the RAW file and we have the XMP sat next to it. I'll do that again. Let's just go to the next image. Right click, metadata, save metadata to file. I can click this now, I don't need to see this again. And then I can go right click again, show in Finder, and here we are, this image with its matching file there. So that's how to create for individual files. There is an option to make this a default setting in Lightroom. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because it will slow your process in Lightroom down quite considerably. But if you are somebody who is doing a lot of travel work using multiple devices, or as I said, doing a lot of sending off images to retouchers, it might be a good idea to make this a preference. So all you need to do for that is go up to Lightroom Classic, click on there, we go to Catalogue Settings, and in the metadata here, you can make this a default, so automatically write changes into XMP. So you can check that, and then when you import images into the catalog and you start editing them, it's going to create a file by default for every single image that you edit going forwards. It will not backdate and do the images that you've already done, but anything new that you put through when you set this up, it will create. So yeah, that's my quick tip for today. Hopefully it all made sense to you and is useful information for you to have in your toolbox. And I will see you again very soon for my next video.